Hi, I'm Dylan Paris, and today I'm going to talk about why I'm selling this 11-inch M1 iPad Pro with 1 terabyte of storage and 16 gigs of RAM, and why I replaced it with this 12.9-inch open box M1 iPad Pro with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. Today's video is sponsored by DistroKid. That's right, I got a sponsor, baby. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about them in a second. If you've been watching my channel, you know I've tried out a lot of iPads, primarily for music production, as well as video editing, and just general use. You might see me buying and selling a lot and think, man, that guy's got a problem. And maybe I do. I do buy a lot of tech, but I'll tell you one problem I don't have, and that's getting my music on all of the storefronts, such as Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, basically anything you can think of. And that's because I've been using DistroKid since 2014. For as low as $20 a year, you can get your music on basically every storefront, streaming platform, social network, including TikTok for you cool kids out there, which I haven't done yet because I feel like Steve Buscemi and 30 Rock, and I'm like, hey, fellow kids, so I'm not quite doing TikTok stuff yet. Maybe I will. But you can with DistroKid. Now, why do I use DistroKid? Compared to other services I saw at the time, DistroKid offered the most reasonable rate for the most reasonable return. They don't take a percentage of every sale or a percentage of every stream. You just give them $20 or more a year, depending on your plan, and in return, upload unlimited music to all these stores as much as you want. I use some add-ons such as the one that lets you tag stuff for Shazam. So like hypothetically, if one of my songs ever blew up and someone was in a H&M or in a mall or something and heard it, they could find it. You can create short little video clips, all kinds of additional features that you can learn more about at their website. And if you're interested in signing up for DistroKid, I actually have a referral link now, which is very exciting for me. You will save 7% on an annual membership, and I will get a commission fee, full transparency. So, if you're interested in joining DistroKid like myself and many other artists, use the link in the description, also probably written out right here, to learn more and get your music to as many people as possible. Thanks DistroKid for sponsoring. I'm super stoked, big fan. All right, let's get into it. So you've probably seen me make a few videos with this 11-inch M1 iPad Pro. Before it came out, we were all really excited because Apple put the M1 in here with 16 gigs of RAM, and it's like, what are they gonna do with that? Why would you even do that? Is it gonna have Logic? Is it gonna have Final Cut? I guess we'll find out at WWDC. And what we found out at WWDC was that Apple, much like basically everyone else, has been living through a pandemic, and they have not made substantial changes to the operating system on the iPad in a way that is going to really make it take advantage of that hardware yet. Is it going to eventually use the hardware? Oh, absolutely. There are definitely games you can only play on newer iPads or iPhones that aren't playable on old ones. There are definitely applications like Procreate and LumaFusion that have more advanced features for more advanced chipsets. And I do still believe that eventually Apple's internal in-house Pro apps will come to iOS or iPadOS. But that day is not here today, and so, like I said in one of my last videos, I am selling this iPad Pro. However, shortly after I filmed that last video, as I started to do more research and think about it, I realized I would really miss having a Pro iPad. There is something about the 120Hz screen, the speed of the processor, and fellow YouTuber Mobile Music Pro, who has really great information and is one of the best out there doing iPad stuff, has talked about how the CPU improvements on the M1 are pretty substantial for music production. They'll affect DSP and other stuff, and go look for Mobile Music Pro for more info on that. He knows what he's talking about. However, he noted that RAM usage isn't really, as taken advantage of for music production yet. It's mostly about multitasking, which is something Renee Ritchie talked about as well. And so I realized for myself, I didn't need a terabyte of storage, I didn't need 16 gigs of RAM, but I do want an M1 iPad Pro. And I talked about this before as well, I really wanted to try the XDR display. And y'all, people have been underrating the XDR display. I know that might sound dumb, because people are saying it's a really good display, but y'all, it is a really good display. It is. Once you have true black levels like that and the peak brightness in HDR content, it is really hard to go back to not having that. I'm at a point where basically every screen I own is like this. My TCL 55-inch, my OLED 4K laptop, this screen on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, they're all true black level HDR content beasts. Only my work monitor and video editing monitor doesn't have true black levels. It's an IPS panel, but it's still 4K. Pretty nice. Anyway, if you watch my channel, you're probably watching because you're a music person. You do music stuff. So is there really an improvement going from the 11-inch to the 12.9-inch for music producers? Yes, but these are true of every generation of 12.9-inch iPad, not just the M1. So the reason I think music producers can get a lot out of a 12.9-inch versus an 11-inch is because the 12.9-inch iPad has basically retained the same exact screen ratio since 2015. Because of this, basically every app you use is going to fill the screen properly and take advantage of that real estate. I've been noticing this with like GarageBand, where you're even seeing rows of live loops and your synth in a way that I wasn't seeing on the 11-inch. And then there's a lot of apps, usually legacy apps, that don't even take full advantage of the space on the 11-inch because the smaller iPad Pros have had a bunch of different screen sizes. There was 9.7, 10.5, and then 11 inches. And that aspect ratio kept changing. When they went to 11, it became a little bit more like a widescreen TV. And so there are apps that have this like space on the side, and it is not a deal breaker. If you think 12.9-inch is too much for you, and you just want an 11-inch, and you don't care about true black levels or media viewing, get an 11-inch, save that money, have that small beast machine. However, I'm a giant TV nerd, and the only reason I didn't go for the 12.9-inch originally was because of price and availability. I was way too caught up in the hype train, and I really wanted an iPad day one. I was like, I need it for my channel, I need it for me. So I got the 11-inch from Apple directly, which is why I couldn't just return it, because Apple's return window is very short. So the way I got the 12.9-inch model that I have now is from an open box deal from Best Buy, where I paid like $1,020 on the 256 gig model, excellent condition, no scratches, original packaging, everything. That's $180 off list. And at that point, between these two models, we're talking about a price difference of like $380, I think? Wait, $480. What I paid for this, $1,500. What I paid for this, $1,020. And at that point, y'all, it's a no-brainer. Cut the storage, cut the RAM, get the better screen. It's so nice. Watching stuff is awesome on it. Playing games is awesome on it. Making songs is awesome on it. I've been pretty distracted with the Machina Plus. My intention is to keep both devices. And if you've watched my channel for a while, we'll see how long I keep any of this stuff. Currently, I'm really loving the Machina Plus. I'm really loving this iPad. I'm probably gonna keep my Aero 15 gaming laptop, but we'll see. But yes, I swapped out the 11-inch M1 iPad Pro, 1 terabyte, 16 gig RAM model for the 12.9-inch, 256, 8 gigs of RAM model. And I am super happy about it. So if you're looking between the two devices, first of all, don't buy it new. Just don't buy it new. A lot of people bought them brand new, realized that it wasn't gonna be the device they thought it was gonna be, and are selling them, myself included. I'm not selling it online, I'm selling it locally, so don't ask about buying this one. It's already probably gonna be sold. But look in your area, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Best Buy Open Box, eBay. Good condition items, pretty much brand new, discounted. It's like buying a used car, right? Someone pays for that initial cost, drives it off a lot, it loses value. These are Apple products, so the value they lose is not quite as much as like a gaming laptop. However, it doesn't really pay to be first when you're buying a product. I also got the Magic Keyboard kind of on impulse. This thing showed up and I was like, you know what, I really want the Magic Keyboard. So I rode it to the Apple store, picked one up same day, and I will say having the Magic Keyboard is so cool. I've never had an 11-inch Magic Keyboard, but most of the reviews say it still works and it's still pretty great. But I have had 12.9-inch iPads with Magic Keyboards before, and it's just a really nice user experience. I can't recommend it enough. It is expensive. One of the downsides of the 12.9-inch 2021 model is that it has like weird fitting issues with older gen Magic Keyboards. And so for the sake of ease of use, I just bought the 5th gen version. I bought the newest Magic Keyboard straight from Apple because I didn't want to worry about size or whatever. The things they were saying might be an issue. Am I a sucker? Maybe. When it comes to music production, it's really hard to go wrong. Do you need an M1 iPad Pro? We've talked about this before. No, you probably don't. You probably don't. If you have a 2018 or God, a 2020 iPad Pro, hold off. They're only gonna get better. This model's only gonna get cheaper. Yes, that's how technology works. Every year, better tech, cheaper, older tech, sometimes both. Look at the M1 MacBooks. Cheaper, newer, better. I'm excited to see what the future of iPads and Apple hardware is. I'm really stoked about this iPad. I'm gonna be making content with it. I do recommend it. I think if you like screen technology, if you like OLED technology, oh my God. I can't even really properly show you how good this screen is. But you know, it's what Dieter Bohn talked about at The Verge. It's what a lot of people have talked about. The XDR display is awesome, and I am so excited for them to come to like every single Apple product. I prefer it to basically every screen I've ever used. So really stoked about that. Really excited about music production. I think 256 gigs is the sweet spot currently for iPad storage. You can always offload files to the cloud or onto external hard drives. And unless you're running like a video editing business off of an iPad, you really don't need more than 256 in my opinion, especially for music stuff right now. If things like the entire Native Instruments Complete come over ever, you might want more storage. But at that point, I think we should cross that bridge when we come to it. If we've learned anything this year, it's don't buy products based on what you think they'll do in the future. Buy them on what they do today. And today, an open box 12.9 inch iPad Pro M1, 8 gig, 256 beats the crap, in my opinion, out of a brand new 11 inch, 16 gig, 1 terabyte model, because you get the better screen, basically the same performance in every app I use, slightly worse multitasking, but we're talking about 8 gigs of RAM on an iPad, which is still a ton. And I actually really like the size. It is heavier. If you use your iPad like this a lot, like just one hand holding it, reading it, novels, watching YouTube on the toilet or whatever you do between you and your iPad, the 12.9 is way heavier. I have noticed it being heavier even than last year's model, which other people have already pointed out. It's true. It's heavier and it's thicker. And you notice it. It's not as nice to one-hand it, and even two-handing for video games is kind of not as great. And that's another reason I got the Magic Keyboard, because once it's on the Magic Keyboard, it's just floating like magic. And at that point, rest it in your lap, rest it on a desk, connect a DualShock 4 to it, start playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It's just so immersive. That's the thing that gets me. Like, it's the thing I didn't think about. But the combination of the contrast ratio, which means that even when you're not watching HDR content, black levels are black. They're actually black. They're not gray. They're black. The contrast, the immersiveness, the size of the screen. When you're watching like HDR content, just the peak brightness levels. You connect a good pair of Bluetooth headphones. I've got the Sony 1000XM3 over-ears and the WF-1000 in-ears, and they're both awesome. You get something like that going in. It's like having your own mini movie theater. And it's honestly better because the resolution is higher than most movie theaters and the contrast ratio is way better than most movie theaters. Anyway, I digress. As a music channel, it's kind of weird that I spent most of today's video talking about the screen, but the screen is the difference and the screen's where it's at. Should you go buy one of these if you already have last year's model? No. If you already have 2018 model, maybe. If you really, really want a nice screen and it's not about performance, it's just you really want the screen, then yeah, get what I got. Open box, excellent condition, look around for deals. Don't be a sucker. If you don't have any iPad Pro and you want a 12.9 inch model, should you buy this one? Open box. Yes, you should. You really should. I was not convinced that the price difference was worth it if you were going new 2021 12.9 versus used 2020 or 2018. But if you can find an open box deal and save $180, the price differences start being more like $200 instead of $400. And at that point, I think it's worth it to get this one. Anyway, look out for more content from here. Thank you again to this week's sponsor, DistroKid. Huge fan. So freaking stoked. And yeah, I will be back next week or sooner. Have a great week ahead. All right, bye. Oh yeah, and consider liking and subscribing and all that good stuff. Link below if you want to join DistroKid. I'd be stoked to have you on board because I get a little commission and you'll have your music everywhere. All right, bye.